is Thomas Howes. I'm 50 years old. I'm a U.S. citizen, and I'm a professional pilot.
My name is Mark David Gonsalves. I'm an American. I'm 31 years old, and I'm a systems analyst.
My name is Keith Donald Stansel. I'm 38 years old. I'm an American. I'm a systems analyst.
Bolivariana de la gran nación, soberana, al fin independiente, vanguardia de pueblos combatientes por la paz y el fin de la opresión. Vuelve Bolívar, Bolívar vuelve a pelear. Esta es la lucha que libra al pueblo, Bolívar está en la cara.
On February 12, 2003, a plane carrying 4 U.S. contractors and 1 Colombian crashed in the jungle of southern Colombia. 2 men were shot and 3 men were kidnapped by guerrillas.
Jorge, he speak with you. Thank you.
Nearly 6 months later, in July 2003, Colombian journalist Jorge Enrique Botero was able to obtain an interview and the only proof of life of the 3 American hostages.
Buenos días. Buenos días. ¿Cómo les va? How is it going?
Spectacles coming there.
That's all, Mark. Veneno, Mark. Veneno.
I have a message
Take on that.
for your mother. ¿Listos para comenzar? Ustedes cayeron prisioneros
You were taken prisoners
en poder de las FARC
by the FARC.
cuando fue derribado
When the airplane was brought down,
un avión espía norteamericano
North American spy airplane,
que estaba violando nuestra soberanía nacional.
and you have been violating our national sovereignty.
A partir de ese momento
From that moment,
hacen parte
you are part of
del grupo de prisioneros
the group of prisoners,
de guerra.
war prisoners.
Nuestra misión
Our mission
es preservar sus vidas
is to keep you alive,
para
to,
realizar el canje de prisioneros de guerra de ambas partes.
to do the exchange of prisoners for both parts.
I have a question. If Uribe refuses to negotiate, because we have heard in the FARC's opinion, they tell us that he's a militarista. If he does not negotiate, do we just sit here for years, 5, 10 years, and there's no answer to our problem?
Si no van a haber negociaciones, si van a estar aquí durante años y años y años.
Esas negociaciones se dan algún día, no sabemos cuándo.
One day these negotiations will be there, but we don't know when.
El comandante Marulanda
Our commander-in-chief, Manuel Marulanda Vélez,
nos ordenó
ordered us
que podían mandar pruebas de supervivencia
that you could send a sign of life
a sus familiares.
to your families.
Por esa razón viene un periodista colombiano
Because of this, there is a Colombian journalist here
a hablar con ustedes.
to talk to you.
¿Dejamos así, les parece?
Is that okay with you?
Entonces ahora siguen ya hablando con él. Gracias.
contractors. You're probably from the left and it's political, and I understand that. I mean,
Probablemente es un socialista.
sí. This is bien. Hola, I'm from the right.
Why did you come to Colombia, Tom?
To work as a professional pilot in the war against drugs.
Well, the U.S. has committed approximately $3 billion over the past 4 years to fighting the drug war in Colombia. And that has largely been throwing gasoline on the fire. It's made things a lot worse in terms of the civil war there. It's been going on for almost 4 decades. The main thrust of our policy in the United States is to pacify rural regions of Colombia so that our spray planes can go in there and basically crop dust to try to defoliate our way out of this problem by attacking the coca crop and the opium poppies that are growing in Colombia. And that has been largely an exercise in futility. It's like shoveling water.
And why did you come to Colombia, Mark?
Also to work, I'm a systems analyst.
And you?
I'm a systems analyst. I came, my job brought me to Colombia in the war against drugs.
The contractor problem is a difficult one. These are not military and they're not treated according to the rules of law. It's a obviously very, very high-risk profession to get into, and they do expose themselves to being assassinated and kidnapped. And when they are kidnapped, of course, there's only a limited role that the U.S. can get involved in trying to rescue them, and often a rescue attempt will mean that the kidnappers will kill them.
Who hired you to come to Colombia?
This internet news that we got, this MSNBC, this is a big news organization in the United States, and it says we were hired by California Microwave, a subsidiary of Northrop Grumman, and that we were hired as contractors for them. This is the truth. NBC's News has learned shortly after the first plane went down, California Microwave transferred the contract along with the planes and pilots to a new company called Chow.
I can't read that.
So a new company called CIAO Chow.
¿Conocen la empresa Xiao? Xiao.
That was earlier. We were asking that question about that. This happened after our crash. We don't know who these people are.
Yeah, the only thing we know about that company is what we just read here.
Yeah.
Because that obviously came after our crash.
We see here in this press release, I'm going to be honest in front of everybody here, that our contract has been changed to a company that we don't know about after our crash. I understand the business side of it, but those of you in our office and those of you at our old company that know us, maybe we won't make it home. But remember, there's 3 people here with a family. Please do the right thing for our families. The government of the United States awards contracts to big companies, and they send people down here to work, and that's what we did. California Microwave Systems is a small company that is controlled by Northrop Grumman, a very big company. We are employees. Just the same here. There are many government contractors working down here for civilians.
The producers presented a proof of life of the hostages to Northrop Grumman and requested an on-camera interview for this program. The company declined, but provided a written statement expressing their concern for the hostages and their financial support of the families.
The FARC have perceived these contractors as basically mercenaries, and in a way they are. They are not held accountable under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, as any other U.S. service personnel would be. There's very little to hold them accountable if they make a mistake or if they break the laws in Colombia. What can you do?
El comandante que está al lado de ustedes ha dicho hace un momento que ustedes son agentes de la CIA.
The commander who's sitting next to you has said a few moments ago that you are CIA agents.
No.
We're civilian contractors.
We're civilian contractors. No.
Somos contratistas.
Our plat.
Pero la prensa internacional dice,
¿Qué?
que la prensa dice.
The press says that you are CIA agents.
No, if it's CIAO,
That's Chow. Yeah. No.
eso no es CEI.
They also say that these are people working for U.S. intelligence. They accuse them very often these contractors as being CIA people or people in other ways helping the Colombian military in their civil war.
We were here, and it's in the news, and everyone knows that we were an anti-narcotics program. We would analyze the coca on the ground, look at the drugs, basic camera equipment, nothing very...
Cameras.
Yeah.
Just looking for coca leaves?
Our plane's primary mission, we look for cocaine production in drug labs.
Colombia is the size of Texas and California combined. Or put another way, it's 53 times the size of El Salvador. It's an enormous landmass. And the amount of land needed to satisfy the world's demand for cocaine and heroin is actually quite small. If you look at the State Department's own estimates for the year 2001, for instance, they estimate that there were 220,000 hectares of coca being grown in the Andean region, Colombia, Peru, Bolivia. It means you can grow the entire world's demand for coca leaf and cocaine on a piece of land about 29 miles on a side, a square piece of land. It's a shrub. It grows wild, and it's kind of it's very difficult to eradicate it.
Marihuana, coca y amapola se reunieron para dialogar.
The three guerrilla groups in Colombia, also classified as terrorists, all make their money off of drugs. It's not like the old Cold War situation where communist guerrillas in country X were funded out of Moscow or maybe Havana or something like that. These guerrilla groups in Colombia are not funded anywhere from the outside. They generate their own income in Colombia by kidnapping and by drugs. They are extremely well funded. They're probably better funded than any guerrilla groups that we've ever seen, ever have been, because of course there's a lot of money in drugs.
El tema que vamos a tratar, dijo Coca la moderadora, que estrategias implementa ahora cuando nos quieren erradicar.
So cutting back on the flow of drugs, cutting into their business by spraying, defoliating, cutting out of the traffic, cutting out of the financial arrangements, money laundering, that kind of thing. Attacking the drug problem as a multinational enterprise is important to reduce their flow of funds. But I think even more important and probably more successful is enabling the Colombian army to inflict real damage and take back territory that they hold and which they use to grow and produce drugs.
Have we won the war on drugs here? No. It's a difficult, finding the solution is very difficult, but it's a very strong problem in the U.S. and it needs to be addressed. There's other avenues to go down to protecting our borders or other possibilities.
Yeah,
What do you think, Mark?
I agree with what Tom just said. There is a toll here. We're victims of the toll of the drug war in Colombia. There's other ways, I think, that are safer, that we can tighten up our border control, educate U.S. citizens, because there's a demand for this cocaine product, and if you can kill the demand, we won't have a problem anymore.
Por eso la solución es la legalización. Esa es.
¿Qué imagen tenían de Colombia?
What image did you have of Colombia?
Colombia is a beautiful country. It's got a tremendous amount of potential. The people that I've met here and the country itself is beautiful. It's an incredible place.
Yeah, I knew a little bit about Colombia, about the conflict, the revolution, just a little bit about that.
As we all know and everybody's aware of, there's a political conflict here, and it makes it for a dangerous place and a dangerous mission.
You just have to be careful. I didn't know how dangerous, because here I am.
What does Congress do when a helicopter full of these private military contractors, who are often flying with U.S. military or State Department personnel, what happens if a helicopter full of them gets shot down?
Cuéntenos cómo fue el día en que sucedió todo.
Tell us about the day on which everything happened.
It's February 12th. For me, it started like any other day, a shower and a cup of coffee and breakfast.
I drove out to the airport, the airfield where our aircraft is at. We do our normal things For myself, as a systems analyst, I have to make sure that the aircraft is working, the systems are working.
We were taken off out of Bogota to refuel in Orandia.
I met Mark, and I met Tom, and the other pilot, Tom, and our other host nation rider, which is a Colombian.
Just a routine flight. Everyone was in good spirits. I just got word I was going home a week early to the States, so I was in very good spirits.
We were flying. The two pilots up front were talking. Mark was sitting in the back. He was reading. We're not doing anything en route for fuel. Our Colombian that was on board, he was sleeping basically, or just relaxing. I was studying a technical manual.
We were on the final leg, I believe, into Orandia. The weather was pretty good. There was a little cloud around, but a lot of blue skies, I recall. And out of the blue, the engine just spooled down. The sound we heard was zzz.
It quit. It got real quiet.
There were no loud noises. It was just a clean spool down to an engine failure.
I asked the pilot what's going on. The pilot, Tom Janis, said, "Sir, that's an engine failure." I immediately asked, how close are we to the refuel base? Are we close enough to glide?
My heart was beating hard.
We were at 13,000 feet or less.
The plane can fly easily, glide without a motor, but it has to descend.
There was no chance, because we were over the mountains, to glide any farther.
I was a co-pilot. Tommy Janis, the pilot, saw on his side of the aircraft a postage stamp size open area of green grass. As soon as I saw it, I agreed that was the only clear spot we had in the mountains.
Mark was preparing the inside of the aircraft for a crash, which means we secure any loose equipment so when we crash, if it hits us, it doesn't hurt us. I instructed the Colombian that was on board with us. I said, secure yourself. He was very upset. I said, we're about to crash.
I recommended that we try to restart the engine, which I was convinced it was futile, but we had the time and the chance in a million we could get the engine going again. We decided to try a restart. We tried it. We could not restart the engine.
I am in contact on the radio with our base, and I told them, I advised them, I declared a mayday, and I said we're going to crash. They asked for our coordinates, and on the GPS, I kept repeating the exact coordinates as we went for the crash spot, so if they came for a rescue, they knew we'd be.
So at that point, we were secured for the landing. Tommy Janis did an outstanding job of maneuvering the aircraft.
As the plane approached the crash point, Tom advised us, guys, hold on, this is going to be very hard, we're going to hit very hard.
And I mentioned to Tommy, he said, you're going to have to get it on the ground. You have to put it on. At that point, a carpet of green came up in my face.
We went down, we hit, it was a violent crash.
I remember when we hit the ground, the airplane opening up and dirt and debris flying inside.
And I have no recollection. I was knocked unconscious on landing.
I yelled for Mark and the Colombian to see if they were okay, and they both answered me, and I asked Mark to get our survival radios.
I started gathering our survival vests.
When I first looked in the front of the aircraft and exited, I saw Tom, and he was unconscious against the window. I couldn't get him to respond. He laid against the window. I banged on it. I thought he was dead. My fear was that the aircraft was going to catch on fire and they were going to burn to death.
The ground was so pitted and unlevel, it was hard to walk on.
At the same time I exited the aircraft, I looked and I heard gunshots, and the FARC were on the ground. They were shooting into the air. They did not shoot at us.
And our Colombian host nation rider was pointing and saying, "Lead us."
Tommy Janis also had a head injury. His head injury didn't look to be as severe as Tom House. He was just knocked out. He said, "Keith, are we okay?" I said, "Tommy, everybody's alive." I said, "But the guerrillas are here. They're going to take us." They ran up to us as I was trying to get the pilots out. We essentially crashed right in the middle of a big group of FARC.
In 1964, Manuel Marulanda founded a guerrilla movement with 48 men who hid in the mountains of central Colombia to avoid being killed by Colombia's ruling parties. During the 1970s, the FARC gained members and spread throughout rural Colombia. Guerrillas attacked small towns, police, and military, and occupied territories abandoned by the Colombian state. In the mid-1980s, the FARC guerrillas declared a truce and founded a political party. 3,000 members of the political party, including 2 presidential candidates, were killed by assassins connected to the political establishment. The FARC returned to the mountains and jungles to continue fighting against the Colombian government.
All of you.
Because the revolution
Needs
warriors to speak English.
English. Very good.
We fight against imperialism.
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 Okay.
3 hostages were taken. They're being held by the Fuerzas Armadas Revolucionarias de Colombia, the FARC guerrillas, the largest guerrilla organization in the country, which, according to my own calculations, has roughly 20,000 combatants. They are the largest and longest standing guerrilla organization in Colombia. They are holding these people for negotiating purposes. They're not about to release them. In that context, the United States has some very serious decisions to make.
We had no chance to escape. We crashed right on top of them. When I opened the door, Tom, he was functioning, but he took a very, very, very hard shot to his head. You can see the scars he has on top of his head weren't there. Also, his eyebrow doesn't go. It was incredible how damaged he was.
Here.
I didn't think he was going to live.
Teeth, broken teeth, and the scar on my chin.
We pulled him and the pilots out of the aircraft.
My next recollection was being told to crouch down beside a bush away from the field. I never saw the field again. I had blood dripping down from my forehead and around just above my eye and my eyebrow. And one of the soldiers, the FARC soldiers that was with us, gave me a bandana to keep the blood out of my eyes.
From that point, we had to move quick. I remember, vamos, we had to move out of the area. We were scared. I remember being scared. The guerrillas told us, "Don't worry, we're not going to hurt you." We got out of the field.
We walked down a hill, across a small creek, and up to a small structure,
a little building there. Where the guerrillas gave us some lemonade water to drink.
I looked back, and that's the last time that I saw the Colombian and Tommy Janis. When I looked back at both of them, they had their hands up, and they were being marched toward us, but they were still a long distance from us. They were walking to us. We assumed that they were bringing him right. It looked like they were bringing him to us to give him lemonade and to give him the same treatment that we had gotten.
And we were told to hide in a trench beside the house as the helicopters came in very close to us. We had armed FARC soldiers on either side of us. They had us wait in that area until the helicopters departed.
And they assessed our condition to see if we could leave or not.
And then we started what turned out to be a 24-day march between on foot, on mule, in the back of trucks.
I crashed on February 12th, and here it is. What is today's date? The 25th of July, 5.5 months. But in my mind,
time
has stopped February 12th. So when I speak to you, I think yesterday is being February 12th. I just learned that we invaded Iraq. I didn't know that. Imagine just sitting in a box for 5.5 months, nothing, no news, nothing. It will change your view of the world because you'll have no view. You will have no view. Do you know if that American pilot is alive? Does he return to the United States or not?
The American pilot? Yes. There are 2 people died.
2 people died.
A Colombian and an American.
Tommy Janis was the American pilot, so Tommy's dead.
Yes, sir.
Did they find the body?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I would say to anybody listening and to his family, to his 2 sons, your dad saved our lives.
What kind of plane was it?
Listen. A month later, another plane took off to find our hostages, but it also crashed in Colombia, killing all 3 Americans on board. Just listen to me. You guys are... Ralph was killed. Ralph was killed.
Oh no.
Listen. Tom, you alright though? Thank you for the news, but the first thing you see is one of your best friends died looking for you, and 2 more of your friends have died looking for you, and a friend that was with you has died. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 deaths in 5.5 months for what? It's a tragedy, and I don't want any more deaths. I don't want to die. I don't want anybody dying trying to get me out of here.
Why were we flying a Cessna 208? Excellent question. It has the best motor, one of the best reputations in aviation for the motor is a PT6 Pratt & Whitney engine. We put a lot of faith in that motor. It failed. Will we do it again? I don't think any one of the 3 of us will put our faith in one motor over the mountains of Colombia ever again.
When we were recovering the material you had in the airplane, there was a lot of material about our organization. He wants to know why.
I would like to see the material about our organization.
Was the information in Spanish or English? Because
El material fue en español o en inglés?
Hay en inglés y en español.
I would have to see it in English to tell you, because I did not have any English information about the FARC.
Okay, let's go. We are FARC, the People's Army. Very good.
I understand that yo entiendo yo soy es prisionero. Pero nada de noticias, pero seguridad. Yo entiendo esto. Gracias por noticias hoy día. ¿Es that hoy día?
Yeah.
Para nosotros es importante. Para un pequeño radio para todos los días.
Y también para la salud mental.
Sí.
Es para comunicar entre nosotros. No somos un riesgo para ustedes, solamente para pasar nuestro tiempo acá.
Mark, I just want to tell you that I love you very much. I hope you come home soon, safe and alive, and also your 2 colleagues. There's hundreds of people praying for you, and I just need you to come home because I miss you so much, and I worry about you. Please stay strong. You'll be home soon. I love you. Thank you.
There are 2 journalists, American journalists in Los Angeles.
Yes.
They are buscando a sus familias.
They are looking for your families.
Y este material va a llegar a ellos.
Mom, I've got your message, and I thank you for doing what you had to get that message sent to me. I love you too, and I want you to know that I am being strong. I'm not being hurt or tortured. I'm just waiting to come home. Shane, I love you, and just I'm waiting to tell you that I think about you every day. And just wait for me, baby. Joey, Cody, and Destiny, I love you guys. And I'm just waiting to come home. So just wait for me. And I'm waiting to get back to you.
He's aged.
I love you guys so much. That's it.
Day in the life of the captain. Empty.
Before light, we wake in the morning. We're brought coffee.
I just try to sleep through the coffee, I'm trying to sleep as much as I can, just have to be awake through this.
Every day we all have journals that the FARC has provided for us, and when you can't talk to your family, the next best thing is we write to them, all of us, every morning.
The one thing that keeps me going is the family, to return to my family. And it's a very painful thought. It's so painful to think of my family that I think of anything else.
And I've drawn a picture of my house, the layout of the rooms in my house.
Yeah.
And I open that page 13 in my journal and I look at the picture and I say good morning to my family. Then I'll pray.
I write a description to my children and my fiance and just said I had a normal day, I'm healthy, and I love you and I miss you. And as Tom said, our thoughts of our family carry us through the day. This is what we have.
I was always busy. I have almost nothing to do now. I haven't had reading glasses to read, and I haven't had anything. I did have a couple of books early on to read, but right now, recently, there's been nothing to read anyway.
I'll try to stay out of my bed as often as I can during the day once I'm awake. Lunchtime will come, usually around noonish. We'll eat lunch, and then shortly after lunch, we'll go ahead and take our baths. Bathe, shower up every day, or if we don't want to, we can skip. That's when we'll wash our clothes and get ourselves cleaned up.
I do similar procedures. We're well fed. We're given medicine. If for my blood pressure, I'm given medicine. If we have diarrhea, we get medicine. We're well treated, but there's also an emptiness. We were told not to talk among us. We haven't been allowed to play chess or that sort of stuff together. So Mark and I have made a deck of cards out of notebook paper. And I pass hours and hours. If I have a morning where I'm just not a happy person, I'll play solitaire till the unhappy feelings go away, and that's my way of just switching off the mind and just passing hours, just playing solitaire with pieces of paper cut out of a notebook in it.
We're never messed with or interrogated. We are allowed, we sit in our area and we just wait the day out, day in and day out. We sit and we wait.
And then we'll wait for dinner. Dinner comes, right, maybe an hour and a half before the sun goes down, and we'll do dinner. We'll eat dinner and go to bed as the sun is going down, and that's another day. Before I go to bed, I turn to that page 13 of my journal, look at that picture again, and I just say goodnight to my family. And those days, those minutes, those seconds that we're sitting, waiting and wondering what's going on, I'm always thinking of Shane and the kids. That's the day.
¿Qué es lo que más extraña en este cautiverio?
What is it you most miss?
I 100% miss my family. I have... I'm kind of a hard ass, I apologize, but in my life the two things that really get me in my heart are my children and my fiance. And when I feel like sometimes not going on, I think in my mind of my 11-year-old son, and I'm sorry, Kyle, for missing your birthday, and my 14-year-old daughter, Lauren, and my fiance, Mela. What would they want me to do? And I think most what they would want me to do is to come home. My mother died when I was 14, and she left myself and my brother and my father. And if I die now, the exact same thing is happening to my children. And that's a very hard weight for me to carry. So what I miss the most is my immediate family, and my father and my brother. I love them.
After being here as a prisoner for 5.5 months, it doesn't mean very much to me, the money, possessions. What means the world to me is the family. My wife, my boys, my father, my brother and sister. And I've changed a great deal in that area. What I need is my family more than anything else.
I miss my wife, Shane. she's the best thing that ever happened to me, besides my daughter, Destiny, and my 2 boys, Joey and Cody. And the 5 of us are a family. I miss them more than anything in the world. I also miss my father and my mother, George and Josephine, and my brother, Michael. And those are the closest people to me. And it's all about family. I don't miss any material possessions. I don't miss anything like that. I miss the love and the life with them.
When we were listening to the Comandante, to Manohoy, and he laid out the plan that the FARC has, we didn't know if we understood. One, he said that you guys have requested a humanitarian exchange.
I think there's nothing humanitarian about the FARC. Nothing at all. This is a terrorist organization that deals in murder and lawlessness.
Ustedes salen únicamente por intercambio humanitario o por cambio. No hay más salida de eso que la propuesta de las FARC.
They want to put all of their guerrilla members out of jail and be able to increase their amount of leaders and people who are very well trained so they can grow. That would be very difficult for the Colombian government.
The FARC has stated that they're willing to negotiate if the Colombian government or the American government or whomever will come to the table to do so. And so I think that would be the best bet, at least to get the ball rolling, since all of the government agencies can't seem to keep a grip on it.
We heard at one point that negotiations were going strong. And then, we'd also kind of got a little bit of a word that there's really not that much, and so we didn't know what to really put our faith in at that point.
I got the letters from Northrop and from the State Department. And Northrop just saying, they're trying to find somebody to start negotiations, and the State Department's telling him under no circumstances will they negotiate for his life.
The producers presented a proof of life of the hostages to the U.S. Department of State and requested an on-camera interview for this program. The request was ignored.
Well, I think the U.S. takes the right position in not negotiating with terrorists. Now, what Colombia does within its own country, of course, there have been attempts by Colombian governments, even before the present one, to negotiate with the FARC, to negotiate with the AUC, and negotiation is part of their package. The U.S. obviously doesn't interfere with that. What Colombia does is Colombia's business.
I thought they would do some type of negotiating. That's what I thought. There'd be some kind of negotiating going on. But again, the United States government apparently doesn't negotiate with terrorists. So I have no idea what their plans are.
My own suggestion is that the United States should engage in limited talks, along with the Uribe government, to set the stage for humanitarian exchanges. That would be exchanges of FARC prisoners, and there are literally thousands in various Colombian prisons around the country, in exchange for these people being held, both Americans and Colombians. We should not negotiate only for Americans.
For everybody, an exchange is a victory because it's life. It's life for us. It's life for the Colombian prisoners, and at this point, that's what I want to see.
We are not interested in discussing release of hostages or hostage exchanges. And the Uribe government is not interested in doing that, and the United States has continuously supported the Uribe government's position, so no conversations have taken place. So the rescue efforts are there, and I think that increases the risk greatly of these American hostages being held. But we should remember that there are far more Colombians being held hostage than there are Americans. We're talking literally of hundreds of Colombians that are being held. Many notables from governors, one of whom was recently killed, through a variety of Congress people to legislative assembly people at the departmental level, local mayors from around the country, as well as other notables and wealthy Colombian citizens that can be held for ransom.
Family, I like to say I'm alive and well. I have been treated with dignity and respect. My medical needs have been met, and I'm healthy. To my daughter and son, Lauren and Kyle, I love you and miss you very much. If I come home, that's great. If not, keep living. Everything will be all right. Keep your chin up. Keep going. To my fiance, Mela, I love you. I miss you. To my father and my brother, Frank. I love you, brother. I hope you're okay. To my dad, I hope you're still alive. I love you very much. I'm the same as Mark. I'm emotional, but I'm okay. I'm not emotional for any kind of maltreatment. To Ralph's parents, he was doing a job. He loved it. He was doing it of his own will. Be proud of him.
Well, we were told that the State Department was going to be handling it.
Twice a week, all I hear is no new info.
They tell me they're working around the clock and they're doing everything in their power, but everything seems to be a secret.
6 months is a long time. And in 6 months, with the CIA, FBI, intelligence, nothing.
They said that basically the search and rescue operations were still underway, and that's basically the route they were going, and that our guys, or the Americans, were just providing technical support, but the Colombian government was in charge.
You're going to tell me his well-being and that you have proof of life is top secret? No. You know why? Because you don't have it. You never tried, and you're not going to get it that way. You're expecting the FARC to contact you. You're expecting them to be handed to you on a silver platter, or for them to be shot, or just to leave it alone. And they'll rot there. Well, I can't have that. I can't.
I think that they think these 3 men's lives are worthless. Because if they were in the military, it would be a different story.
All of these guys are former military, and they're government contractors. They're former military. Keith was a Marine. He was in the Army Air National Guard. I mean, all of them had military background, so they have served their country, and it's like now their country is hanging them out to dry, or just kind of pushing them over to the side.
They are fighting a war. They're soldiers fighting a war on drugs, and the Bush administration doesn't want to appreciate the fact that they're doing this dirty job for the country, this country. And again, I'm sure they're doing something, but tell me something to show me that you are doing something.
Seeking information that permits the rescue and safe return of the occupants of the airplane accident in Calcutta. I got these from the State Department, and they said that the embassy was requesting the information to create these flyers.
Is that the U.S. Embassy in Colombia?
The U.S. Embassy in Colombia, and they wanted to use the guys' pictures. They asked us for 2 weeks to use permission to use the guys' pictures on flyers, and this is what I got. I was expecting a flyer with their pictures, and I got a horse and jeep and some cows. So I was none too pleased. It's like, you've got to be kidding.
Hey Dad, just me and Buck and the new dog TC. We're hanging out in the back of your truck. Just want to tell you I love you. Since you've been gone, gotten braces. Just Mayla and Kyle and I and Mom and Dad, we're all just kind of hanging out. I hope you guys are doing good. I love you. Tom and Mark, love you guys too. You're in our heart and our prayers. The community has put up yellow ribbons all over for you guys, and just trying to keep on going, and we miss you very much. Hope we'll see you soon. I love you.
We see a very noticeable difference, very pronounced difference between the way the U.S. government and our military responded to the taking of a few hostages and prisoners in Iraq with what happened in Colombia. These are U.S. citizens, and we ought not to exert every effort possible to rescue some over in the Middle East and do virtually nothing, or what seems to be virtually nothing, to rescue our hostages in Colombia. I think the response by the U.S. government has been significantly underwhelming in Colombia to try and get our hostages out.
¿Qué le produce a usted la palabra rescate? Translate, please.
What do you feel when you hear the word rescue?
The first thing that comes to mind is danger and death, possibly, for the people that are feeding us and for possibly ourselves. depends on the day and the hour. 1 hour, I would say it would release me from captivity whether I died or left alive.
We're using intelligence, we're using troops, we're using all the equipment and all the man that we can provide to look for them and to see if we can be able to rescue them. Although it's a difficult operation, and we'll have to take all the precautions so that they will be able to be rescued alive.
No, there can't be a search and rescue. They've already had one botched search and rescue, May 5th, where the FARC killed 10. 3 made believe they were dead, so they were freed. And another thing I had to laugh at, Uribe considered that a success. You've got 10 dead and 3 that came home. So where is the success?
Rescue is scary. It's a scary word for me. Yeah, I think the likelihood of us being rescued alive is low. This is not a movie. This is, for the 3 of us, real life.
We sit in the middle of the jungle. We are in the world of the FARC. We're not in our world. There are people around us at all times, a few feet from us, not 1 or 2, but a number of people. They carry automatic weapons. I assume they know how to use them. You may show up, but when you get there, we're going to be dead.
Obviously, the FARC know every inch of territory in the jungle, and obviously a lot of other people do not, and so if they're going to send rescue helicopters in there and everything, they're going to know when the helicopters are within 3 or 4 miles out, they're going to hear the engines, and they're going to have their location people, their lookout people on duty at all times, and every trail in that jungle is going to be covered.
I love the U.S. I think it's the greatest country in the world, and I'm a proud American. And if I die here, I die here. I believe that we have the force to come kill everybody that's holding us, but in that rescue attempt, we're going to die also. I know some people don't like me to say that. That's probably not what some people want to hear. But please, kids, anybody here, listen to the words out of my mouth. A rescue attempt for us is very serious. This isn't a movie, and I do not believe we will live. I pray for a diplomatic solution.
Nothing's come easy for us ever. We're going to get through this, and I'm going to get home one day. And this will just be a memory.
Don't stay up at night worrying about me. Just, I'm going to be okay. There's no torture. My health is fine, and I love you very much. I just want to get home to you guys as soon as I can.
To our country, we miss you, and we hope we return one day. We are alive and well. I love you very much. Thank you.